Hello everyone, in this video, you will be learning how to create this draggable floating button, which when you reach closer to the leading side, it will just move and drag towards this leading side, while if you move closer to the trailing edge side, it will just move towards the trailing side, and this button can be also be clickable. Before we start, do remember to like and subscribe my channel, as I will be sharing more stuff related to SwiftUI. Let's get started by downloading the starting material. The link can be found at the description below. So just click on this green button and download the zip folder. Let's double click on the folder you just downloaded and open out the Xcode project. Click on Trust and Open. Let's run the project and see what the starting project have. In the starting project, you only have a view without any floating and draggable button. So this is what we are going to create later on. So the code can be found on content view with a Z stack and H stack so that I can make this view a full screen. Then I also provide you with a check button, which we will make use of this to create this draggable and floating button. So the first thing we will be doing is to create these floating buttons right over here. So how are we going to do that? So let's create a new Swift file called DraggableButton. Remember to select this target and click on create. So what we want to do is we want to create a floating buttons all the way to the right first, then maybe all the way to the bottom. So how we can do that? First, we can create a H stack. Then we can put a spacer. As you can see, the button is dragged all the way to the right. So now what we want to do is we can create a V stack so that we can move the button down. Now we want to create a V stack so that we can move the button down. So create a V stack. And then create a spacer. So as you can see, it moved all the way down. If you want to, you can change the size of the button. So I will put a width of 50 and a height of 50. Now we created this floating button. Now we can put it to our content view. So let's go back to our content view and add this draggable button right over here. Let's run the project and see. Now we have this floating button, but this floating buttons of course is not draggable right now. And as you compare from the starting project just now, this button is a bit like at the bottom. So what we want to do is we want to shift maybe a bit like up. So what we can do is we can go back to this draggable button and change the position. So how we can do that is we use a geometry reader. So now if you run the code, nothing has changes, but we have the geometry effect which we can get the size, the width and the height. So what we want to do is we use position, then we can select the x and y value. So we will use geometry dot size width minus 34. Then we can use y again, geometry size. Then we can change the height over here. Yep. So now we roughly shift this button out by a bit. Let's run to see. Yes, it's already shift, and the next thing we want to do is to make this button draggable. So how we can do that? We will use a modifier called gesture. But what gesture are we using? We'll be using the drag gesture, which enable you to drag. But one thing is you need to change the position when the user drag something. So there is a on change action. So now we want to create a new state called drag amount, which when the user drag, this amount will change accordingly, which will result in the change in the position. So what we can do is we can do self drag amount equal to the location. So now we need to use this drag amount to this position. So how we can do that? First, we will put a drag amount, a question mark. So if there is value in the drag amount, they will use this drag amount value. If not, we will create the CG point, which we provide the value just now we created, which is geometry size dot width minus 34 and geometry dot size dot height minus 100. So let's run and see what will happen. So as you can see, now the button can be dragged. But what happened is that it can drag anywhere within the screen. But what we want to do is we want the button so that the button can move to the trailing or the leading side. So now is we want to add a on end modifier. What it should do when the dragging end. So now we can get the current position. So this provides us with the current positions that the dragging stop. Then what we want to do is we want to know if the positions on the X is closer to the leading side. So how do we know it's closer to the leading or the trading side? Is we do if current position dot X is less than geometry size dot width divided by 2. So now we know that the position is closer to the leading side. So we can put the current position dot X equal to 16. Then if it's closer to the trailing side, we can change the position to geometry dot size dot width minus 34, which is the same as over here. Now, what we want to do is we want to change the drag amount to the current position. So let's run and see. Yes, now it moved to the position that we want, but you can see it's not that smooth because we don't have the animations effect. So now what we want to do is instead of writing the drag amount directly over here, we use with animations, and you can put a is in and out. I prefer to put a durations of 2.0. Then we can change the draggable amount with the animation. So now we created this draggable effect of the floating button. So that's all for this video, and do remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.